Will AI take your engineering job? What jobs are growing or dying? What skills should you be developing to future-proof your career as an engineer? Well, the World Economic Forum had just released their Future of Jobs report for 2025, and it had some awesome and some scary insights on what the future of engineering will look like, or might look like. I guess they're just insights. And it covers this and what the rest of the world's jobs are going to look like as well. In this video, I'll basically be going over exactly what in that report struck me as important for engineers to know, and what engineers should care about if they want to get ahead of others in 2025. By the way, just a disclaimer, this is just an insight report, so it may not be 100% representative of the market that you're in. Just keep that in mind when you're going over this video. But anyways, let's get into it. Let's first look at the industries and trends to look out for as an engineer. And let's first look at the technology trends driving business transformation from 2025 to 2030. So this figure shows the share of employers surveyed that identify the stated technology trend as likely to drive business transformation. Basically, what technologies are they anticipating to be important for their businesses in the near future? As you can see in number one, obviously everyone's favorite two letters right now, AI and information processing technologies. Then you have robotics and autonomous systems at number two. Then at number three, you have energy generation, storage, and distribution. Basically, the entire theme of this figure is just all engineering. Semiconductors and computing technologies, new materials and composites, satellites and space technologies, all of these that are listed in this figure are all areas that engineers primarily work in. So it will be very important to position yourself accordingly as to how you can basically take advantage of these growing technologies. But this is just the beginning though. Going down a little bit more in the report, you see the fastest growing and fastest declining jobs that are projected by the surveyed employers. Now, here we see that big data specialists, fintech engineers, and AI and machine learning specialists are the top fastest growing jobs. Other than just looking at the top three, we can see a few more engineers here, like environmental engineers, renewable energy engineers, DevOps engineers, I missed that one. But yeah, there's like a bunch of types of engineers that will be here, and they're all engineers that are obviously looking towards the future. That is the main theme here. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise. But the next figure might surprise you just a little bit, because here is the top fastest declining jobs. And luckily for a lot of us as engineering students or engineers, none of the engineers are on here for the top fastest declining jobs. So that makes me feel a little bit good. So yeah, the top three here are just going to be postal service clerks, bank tellers and related clerks, and data entry clerks as your top three. And the rest of these are really not in our realm at all. But here is where it actually gets interesting. This is the figure you're probably going to be caring about the most if you want to know about growing and declining jobs, because here has the entire expanded list and has way more engineers. And there's one type of engineer that I did not expect to be so far down the list, but we'll get to them. First, looking at the left side of the page with the job growth ones, we can see a lot of types of engineers again as robotics engineers, data engineers, system engineers, solar energy installation and system engineers, full stack engineers, energy engineers, industrial and production engineers, electrotechnology engineers, and civil engineers. And those are all the ones that are on the left hand side, that are the ones that are projected to grow most. Now we look at the right hand side, which has the types of engineers that might not be growing as much, or even declining, or just neutral. And at the top we see mechanical engineers, my specialty, with just a little bit of projected growth relative to the rest, like the big boys on the left hand side. But if we continue down the list, one that I did not expect to be so far down is chemical engineers. Chemical engineers, you good, bro? You good? Chemical engineering, according to this report, is projected to have a basically neutral growth or decline, basically neutral stance in this projection. And I want to know what you guys think about that, so leave your comments down below. But I also want to reiterate, again, this is an insight report, so this is not 100% representative of what your market may be, so be sure to keep that in mind. But I don't know, go. Now, you may be wondering, we are looking at a future of jobs report, so how will the tech that is related to the future be impacting the future of our jobs, basically? I'll also be talking later in the video about what AI is most likely to replace you in and what AI is most likely not going to replace you in. So stick around for that. Well, as we continue down the report, in this figure here, we see the expected impact of macro trends and technology trends on jobs projected for 2025 to 2030. And we want to look at the diamonds here to see the projected net number of jobs created or destroyed attributed to each trend. Now, looking at our top three again, we see the broadening digital access, growing working age populations, and increased efforts and investments to adapt to climate change as our top three, with 9.9 million, 9.1 million, and 5.5 million created jobs respectively. Now, if you're wondering if AI is going to be taking all of our jobs, we can actually look close to the middle here that AI and information processing technologies, big data, VR, AR, etc., is expected to create 1.8 million jobs projected for the next 5 years, which is really weird to think about, especially when you hear everyone so scared that AI is going to take their jobs and stuff like that. But at the very bottom of the list is actually a huge part of the future of engineering, which is robots and autonomous systems. And this one is projected to cause a 4.8 million decrease in jobs because of this technology. But if you actually look on the right hand side, we actually do see that rectangle, that blue rectangle that signifies that there will be some job increase because of robots and autonomous systems. And if you're going to ask me, most of these jobs will probably be engineers, people that have those specialized skills in order to create these robots and autonomous systems that will be more efficient and that will be able to take over those jobs that may be more labor intensive and that humans will be replaced in. So what actual skills should you be looking to develop in order to future-proof your career? So I'll be breaking these down into three, being one, the core skills that employers are looking for, two, the skills that are going to be more in demand, and three, which industries are looking for these skills. Now, first, let's look at the core skills in 2025 figure that shows the share of employers who considered the stated skills to be core skills for their workforce. Now, at the top, number one, we see analytical thinking, number two, resilience, flexibility, and agility, and then number three, leadership and social influence. Now, the number one thing to take away from here is that analytical thinking is number one, and engineering is literally filled with analytical thinking. So this just goes to show how valuable an engineering degree alone is. So whether you actually go into an engineering industry or not, your skills that you have developed in school will be really valuable for whichever industry you're going through. Or this is what this report is hinting at. Going down the list, we can see things like technological literacy, AI and big data, systems thinking, networks and cybersecurity, which are things that require that technical competency. So keep those in mind when you're thinking about those core skills that you want to develop. But now let's look at the skills that will be on the rise and others that will be declining. Here in this figure, we see the skills on the rise 2025 to 2030, which are the share of employers that consider skills to be increasing, decreasing, or remaining stable in importance. At the top, we see AI and big data, networks and cybersecurity, and technological literacy being the top three. So if you're in engineering, you may want to look into these skills if you want to future-proof your career, basically going above and beyond your degree alone. So these are the skills that you should be developing. But at the bottom of the page, we see skills that are actually declining in importance, or at least that's what the employers think. And the bottom two showing negative net increases, we see reading, writing, and mathematics, and then manual dexterity, endurance, and precision being those two that are most likely going to be decreasing in importance. And the importance of each of these skills changes between each industry. First, we look at the skill of AI and big data. And the industries that are going to be holding these to high importance the most are going to be automotive and aerospace, telecommunications, and professional services as the top three. Going down the list, especially for engineers, we can also see energy technology and utilities as one of those top ones for AI and big data as well. And lastly, we have technological literacy, and automotive and aerospace is at number one again, with financial services and capital markets as number two, and then medical and healthcare services at number three. We also see at number seven, oil and gas, a big sector, especially here in Alberta, that is valuing technological literacy a lot as well. So keep all of these in mind if you're looking to join these industries specifically. Ooh, my throat is like so bro. Now the juicy part. You may be wondering what skills are employers specifically looking for when they might be hiring. Now this one really surprised me because first we see evaluation of work experience at number 1, pre-employment test at number 2, and then at number 3 we see completion of a university degree. And when you look closely at the report, they say that comparison with the previous edition of this report shows that employers are increasingly focusing on work experience and psychometric testing over traditional credentials like university degrees. This shift signals a growing recognition that practical skills and cognitive abilities may be more indicative of future job performance than formal educational qualifications. I'm sweating, guys. I'm sweating. Now, when I read this, my first instinct to think is that if you want to stand out more in the job market, you have to develop those skills and you have to get that experience beforehand, which is why something like engineering co-op is so valuable, especially as a student. Because once you're out of your degree, then you have that degree and you also have that work experience along with your degree. Markets that we may be in could be incredibly saturated. So in order to stand out, you're going to need to develop those other skills and get that experience, maybe with personal projects or with other work experience, in order to make yourself stand out. Now, if you haven't realized already, AI is a huge part of this report. Says it like a million times, I swear. And many of you may be wondering what AI will replace you in and what AI won't replace you in. And also, what is the workforce doing in response to this AI revolution, and how will jobs in the future be impacted because of this new technology? Well, first, if we look at this chart showing the current capacity for substitution by generative AI by skill group, basically showing the capacity of generative AI substituting a human in performing a given skill. Well, we first see that artificial intelligence and big data, reading, writing, and mathematics, and marketing and media are the top 3 most likely to be substituted by generative AI. Going a little bit further down the list as well, we see stuff like programming also being another big thing that could be replaced. Now, the thing to remember with these skills is that generative AI at the end of the day is a tool. Especially as engineers, it's going to help us progress and get stuff done more effectively and more quickly and with higher level of quality, instead of just taking away your entire engineering job. Because at the end of the day, the engineer needs to be able to review exactly what the AI may have outputted in order to make sure that it's up to code or up to spec, or that it meets the client's requirements, or that it's actually feasible. So instead of thinking that AI will replace you entirely, it's more like AI is going to elevate your level of responsibility or your scope of work in your jobs. Because a bunch of that effort that you may have been using on other tasks is now being done by AI. So now the time that you have to yourself in your job is going to have to be optimized for things that humans can do only. We look further down the list to see those things that generative AI will most likely not be able to replace us in. And at the bottom, we see sensory processing abilities, empathy and active listening, manual dexterity, endurance and precision, environmental stewardship, stuff that makes us innately human. That is the stuff that generative AI will not be able to replace us in. In order for AI to complete a task, it needs a motivation, a reason to do it. And that's the role of the human. A human needs to be able to provide the reason why an AI is completing a certain task. For example, maybe an AI is being used to help lower carbon emissions. That kind of stuff the AI itself does not care about, but to us, we care about it a lot. So we'll use the tool of AI in order to be able to more effectively and more efficiently get this stuff done. So stuff like that perspective of looking at AI as a tool instead of a replacement is how engineering jobs will be impacted as AI progresses in the near future. So what's the strategy that the workforce has in response to this AI adoption? So we see that the top 3 strategies that the workforce has is reskilling and upskilling existing workforce to better work alongside AI, hiring new people with skills to design AI tools and enhancement appropriate for organization-specific skills, and hiring new people with skills to better work alongside AI. So really the workforce strategy is to move jobs around or take jobs in order to really capitalize on this AI revolution that we're going through. But it is important to note that close to the bottom, we see that downsizing workforce where AI can replicate people's work is at 41%, which means that the share of employers that are surveyed that believe that they're going to downsize their workforce to accommodate more for AI is at 41%, which may look a little bit alarming. By the way, if you're finding this video useful, hit that like and hit that sub. And if you yourself are an engineering student and you need help navigating university, you can book a personal one-on-one coaching session with myself, a fifth-year mechanical engineering student, and I'll give you all of my advice and all the tools and resources that I've used throughout my 4 years so far in mechanical engineering. And hopefully I can help a lot of engineering students that way. If you're interested in something like that, link is in the description. But now let's get back to the video. So taking all of this in, what's the main takeaway that an engineer should have from this entire report? So if you ask me, the main takeaway that I got from this report as an engineering student is that AI. So it may be important to understand that there may be significant changes in how the engineering profession and practice is done in the near future. Like, I remember older engineers telling me that they had to do their engineering drawings by hand on paper. Now we're able to create these drawings, parts, assemblies through stuff like SolidWorks. And considering this example, the next wave of engineers could see another level to this. Maybe it's stuff like putting in a prompt to create an entire assembly, or maybe you can create interactive renders with it. I don't know, bro. But yeah, the main takeaway here for an engineer is that AI is coming and you want to take advantage of it as a tool in order to progress your career. All right, peace guys, peace.